Welcome to a special presentation. The fact that we're going to be talking with a media services television program in the Cincinnati area to give a better understanding of how businesses can take advantage of different social media services. So stay tuned. Hey, welcome back to a special presentation. Today we have a unique program that I think that any person that is interested or willing to start a business or be involved in a business is thinking about how they can use social media services, then this is a program that I think they will find of great benefit. Today we have a special guest from Waycross Community Media Services, and she's going to be helping us to better understand how businesses can use social media. So I welcome Dana. So Dana, tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do and how you can help different businesses better understand social media.
Sure, and thanks for having me. My name, as we've covered, is Dana. I am the Government Programming Coordinator at Waycross Community Media. Waycross Community Media has been around since 1982, and at the time, it was all about cable. The purpose of Waycross is to be the station that connects local residents in the 4 communities that we serve it's the access and community access. It's to make sure they have access to their local government, to their school districts, but also to this way of distributing their ideas as members of the public, because members of the public can become producers of their own programs here. That has changed over the years, the way that we were funded as a station. So in the past, we could operate just like any government system. We did not have to worry about marketing. We did not have to worry about pleasing our clients and how do we connect to them. But as funding has diminished for public access stations over the years, one of the things that has changed for the way that we do business here is that our municipalities and our school districts have become our clients. So now we're not just running out there and doing the best we can to cover something. Now we have to make sure we're creating products that they see value in so that they continue to renew their contracts with us. And so that, of course, that's what we want to do anyway. That's what we've always wanted to do. But now we have a new urgency to do that, because now that is how we exist, is to make sure we see them as our clients. So the things that we are actually still in the process of working on and tweaking, and we can look at some of those in a bit. Those are things that actually will help anyone with their business or their nonprofit organization figure out how they can maximize, in particular, the use of video and the use of video with social media, because we're looking at the way our clients, our municipalities, can use video with social media because we're creating it for them.
I have a question. I hear, sometimes when I go on the TV cable, we have a channel for educational access, and then we have another channel for government access, and we have another channel for community access. Are they not all the same?
So it depends on what your community invests in. The cable company, Spectrum Cable, or whoever you have in your area, the cable company collects a little tiny thing on your bill that can go to the municipality, and they can decide if they want to have all of the different kinds of access. At Waycross Community Media, we actually have all of those. We have multiple different stations. We have a station that's all educational access. We have a station that's all government access, and then all public access. Those are programs that other producers create. They might use our facilities to create them, or they might use their own. And that's, before the internet, that was the only way an average member of the public who didn't have a TV studio, who didn't have huge corporate sponsors, could get their ideas that they found important out, and I know this isn't really the focus, but that's what public access meant. It was the access to the public to be able to distribute their ideas and things they thought were important. So yes, you will see all those different things. Some communities stop at government access. They might just show their council meetings, and that might be just it. That might be all they do. If their community access station is funded so that they literally have one staff member, that's probably all they can do. Exactly. So, I think every station out there is trying to be as accessible as they possibly can. And we have the unique ability to have a facility with some studio space, some equipment that we use, but the public can also use. Our government access program also films all of those council meetings, but in addition to that, we produce programs where they can come into the studio, they can talk in detail about things going on in their community. And it's actually, and I thank you for the segue, because it's actually those kind of programs that are really the product we're creating for them. We're not going to be able to change the way we film the council meetings. That's what I heard. You have to film that beginning to end without cuts. You can't make it snappy. You can't put in cool graphics. You just put in your lower third. So it's those other things that we film. We have a school district that does a podcast with us, but we also film it as a video so they can use it in other ways. And
now podcasts are primarily radio. Is that correct?
Yes, it is. It's an audio thing, and it's usually distributed over the internet so that people can listen to it on their phones. They're driving, which you would not want them to do with your videos.
Right.
That one time I don't want people watching my videos. We have discovered, though, that we can double duty, and that's with a lot of these things. With podcasts, we could, instead of just sticking microphones in front of them anywhere, we can set it up very simply and record it. And that's not one of the ones that I brought as an example, but it's generally a very simple setup. But the fact that they are usually students in the district who are excited about sharing what they know, or we're celebrating someone for their success in something, which means on social media, it's very visual. It's whereas as a podcast, it's great for putting on your phone and listening to in the car. On social media, you need an image to go with it. But the advantage to that is so they can share podcasts as a video. But since we just recently did one with 3 of the most well-spoken, just accomplished high school students I think I have met forever, and sharing it as a video means now these students are on social media platforms, and now they have a link to share that around, and they want to show their friends, and their mom wants their grandma to see it out of state. And that's actually one of the aspects that I have a note about social media, which is what's different from broadcasting. Now, we still broadcast on TV. We still have a lot of people that's their primary way of experiencing our programs. But the social media networks, and I'm being vague about because they're all like this, ability to be connected. That's not something that happens. If I watch something with your television, if I watch a show and I happen to be flipping channels and I think, oh my gosh, I caught this concert they filmed at the high school. It's amazing. None of my friends know I got it. And by the time I see them, I forgot.
Yep.
If I remember to tell them about it, there's still really no direct way to get them connected to it. It's gone. It's happened. It's gone. If I watch that concert on social media and I click like, it's probably going to show up in my friend's feed that Dana liked this.
Oh, I see.
Oh, Dana liked that. What was that? Is it cool? If I really like it, I'm going to share it to my page, and then for sure they're going to see it.
I see.
Every time you hit that share, that's putting your business, in my case, my station, in front of people who might not have known where to find it online. They might not have known where to find it on cable. And they can click back and find out everything they ever want to see about us. If they think it's neat that we covered that, wonder if we did any more Witten Woods concerts, they'll click back and they'll say, oh my gosh, they did all the Witten Woods concerts. I'm going to spend hours watching these now, which actually happens. We'll get messages sometimes.
Sure.
since we've been around since 1982, we have an archive of programs, and one of our YouTube channels is various things from our archives, not everything from our archives, but and periodically it pop up in my email that someone has been watching through them and looking at old basketball games, and they want to talk to us about how do I get a DVD or something like that.
You know, Dana, it is interesting when you get into the public educational access, whether it's NPR or public educational access or government or things of that nature. One of the things that I found that I certainly enjoy is not as many commercials or no commercials throughout the program. I noticed that and again, you know, someone has to pay for our services, and it's we can't expect everything to be free. But the thing that I like about the educational access is the fact that you're not constantly interrupted with every 5 or 7 minutes having 3 hours or 3 minutes of hundreds of different commercials. And
that's a constant consideration for us, because we have lost sources of funding over the years, which means we've had to look for new sources of funding. One of the things we do is look for sponsors for maybe our football coverage, because that's really popular. And but we're really intentional that when we do things like that, that it doesn't change the basic tenet. So you're not going to get the program interrupted. If it's a football game, there might be a graphic in the corner that tells you, so sponsored this. Or it'll be something that runs before or after it, so that you're not being interrupted. You can be drawn into a deep conversation. And actually, that might be the direction to go to make sure I can show you. So almost all of our programs that were produced in the studio were what I call a long format discussion. And we've seen them on all kinds of channels on TV.
Yeah, we do those quite a bit. Yeah.
Charlie Rose, right? It's Charlie Rose. It's someone at a table. You can get into an in-depth discussion, which is not something you can do with your local government representative, for instance.
Right.
On the news, you might get a soundbite.
Right.
They might be in the studio for a few minutes. You're not getting the whole story, so let's have them in the studio. Let's talk for half an hour. Let's talk for an hour. Let's get into detail about that. The thing is, we used to be able to focus on that, and I mean we as a statistical society, but we have a hard time focusing on that now. So we still have some programs that look like that at the moment, because it matches our television format. It matches what some of our viewers are accustomed to looking for. And to a certain degree, we don't want to completely get rid of it. That's the in-depth discussion that you never get. And one example of that is our Columbus Report. Once a month, we produce a report that focuses on what's going on at the state government level, because of course that affects us even at the small local level here. In December, Representative Lou Blessing came in. He's an engineer by trade, and when he is your guest, I highly recommend it. He has an outline. You do not have to do, I'm not saying don't do any preparation. Of course I do preparation, but he's got it. He's got it all laid out. So it's easy to have it's a wonderful guest, right? When you get someone that's ready for a long conversation. Right. So we can look at a tiny clip of that, actually, so you don't have to just go with my description of it. Yeah, there we go. And so posting, you have the introduction. You can see this looks very much like you would expect. Yes, that's product placement with my mug, of course.
Yep. Yeah, we do that. We do that
excellent.
also. Yeah.
Excellent. I noticed its logo on your shirt there, so I use that.
That's right. You're absolutely correct.
And that's what we have. We have Representative Louis Blessing from District 29, and you can see he's got his notes there, by the way. It's under my graphic. So he's ready. There we go. 2 people in a studio at a table with coffee cups. Mm-hmm. Right? Sometimes I have a screen behind me with a logo. Sometimes I have 3 people talking. Yeah, but it's not a format that changes a lot, right?
Right.
And he's going to get in great detail about all kinds of really it's fantastic things to know that were going on at the state level. And you can probably stop playing it. And the reason it's a good time to stop playing it is, let's face it, we're going to glaze over if we have to watch two people talking for very long, right?
That's right. That's right.
And so this comes back to our social media topic, because I'm trying to create, not entirely, but more and more for my clients who are municipalities, products that they can use off the channel, as well as products that I can use to broadcast as a television show. So we have local towns that we do studio shows for, and we have done that same format. It's 2, 3, maybe 4 people talking if we're feeling crazy. And we're in the studio, we're at a table, we have our mugs. We post all of our programming online after we run it. So we get a look at who's watching it afterwards, which of course is different from your television statistics.
You're right. You're absolutely right.
But we can see if our towns are using it. We have a certain amount of access to share it within the community because we're also in the community. So that helps a little bit. But as far as them finding it useful enough that they want to share it, that's a key that I'm looking for. Are they sharing it? Am I forcing it out there, or are they choosing to share it because it's useful for them? And we can look at the views on those YouTube statistics, which is where we put them, and they weren't using them. So, it didn't matter before because we just made the show and it ran on TV and that was great and everyone was happy. But now we need them to know we're going to make a product that's useful for social media.
You're right.
So actually, the next one is the first township that actually came to me at the same time we were thinking about doing this and saying, this product isn't what we can use. How can we change this? And one thing they really like is the kind of packages you see on the news where they send someone out to do a package on something. And so she requested that we do something in the studio where it's just like news. And I say, coming up in Springfield Township, take a look at these events, and just like a news. Mm-hmm. I also have to alternate with that packages. And how that works as double duty is we can then take those packages and clip them separately as a little clip that they can use. This one, I will say, is probably one of the first times we did that. So it's not perfect, but it was a pretty cool topic. That Ice Be Gone magic back there, and I know you can't hear all this, but it has a vodka ingredient in it, and that's things that keep the roads from freezing in Springfield.
Wow.
How cool is that? It's mixed in a 10% to like 90% salt brine and 10%. It literally says on those bins behind him, 90% magic. So if you're in Springfield Township, the roads don't freeze. They are 10% magic. Okay, so back on topic.
What you're saying is very, very true. When we first started out, first of all, we were on radio, social media, blog talk radio. And then we sort of gravitated, because of the TV studio, to doing simultaneous. We had on the blog talk 128 different countries that listened to one of our hour shows then. And then as as they became expensive, they started wanting to charge, etc. And that's okay. We just sort of gravitated to the TV. And now what we're finding is what you're exactly saying is right, is that people like to see the clips. They want to see, let's get to the meat of the matter, along with the longer shows.
You almost have to tell them it's just a 2 or 3 minute clip. And then they might look.
Yes.
And that was that was the first one that we did packages for. We had just a week to put everything together. We weren't able to do all the things we wanted, but we just kind of put it together quickly. That was the first thing that we produced for them in a very long time that I caught them sharing on their own media. Mm-hmm. Which was fantastic.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And the other thing is, so that's produced packaged with cool things. The other thing that we can watch just like a second of, and honestly, this partially happened because their guest who was supposed to come to the studio couldn't make it. So we produced one of those very, very simple, we're just going to give you the news that's going on in this town. And they sent me an email and said, here's what we want people to know. And we can look, this is in the village of Green Hills. And this was just last month, so whatever they're talking about is still current.
Okay.
And that's cute. We could just look at a second of it.
Sure. Dwayne's getting it ready. But what you're saying is very true.
Oh, yeah, here it is. Sorry to interrupt you.
No, that's all right.
So all of our talking with have these roll in, so you're going to see, I don't know, there's generally about 30 seconds of random shots about the town. We're actually redoing these to move faster. But, and again, like we were talking about, media changes. The timing between cuts has to be quicker now than it had to be.
You're right.
Which is a very interesting thing because you feel like, oh, I know how long that should be. And we were having a recording problem, so it's a little bright there. But, oh, look, I'm at a table, but there's a screen behind me. It's the same concept. But it's just newscaster turning back and forth between cameras idea. There's a little B-roll that happens because you don't want to make people look at one thing too long. They can't focus. But exactly, just like that. Good job, Dwayne. Don't want to people look at anything too long as they can't focus. It was very simple, and when we shared that, it's being run on television. But when we shared that, you can catch up on all of Springfield Township, all on Green Hills News in no more than 6 minutes. That one was the first one in a very long time that started to get used by the client and get out. And actually, the local Green Hills newspaper, the Journal, they also found that useful and were sharing it. So because I spent a lot of time on the format, I thought maybe I should take a couple seconds and talk about just what's unique about using social media platforms as opposed to television or other things that we've looked at that requires us to be aware of how we produce our videos. It's another distribution method, like we use the airwaves. It's accessible. It's more affordable. We don't have to pay a studio a ton of money to do it if you don't have cable access in your area. That's important. But and this is something that a lot of business owners have a difficult time with. It's a conversation. It's not a straight up advertisement. This is not a constant page of buy my energy bars. This is a continual discussion about things related to that, because Facebook will allow you to, it will allow your community to get to know you, and people who look into marketing, they do studies on, okay, we did mailers, what percent did that bring in? We had referrals, what percent did that bring in? And they find that consistently the highest percent comes from people who are doing business with someone they're already familiar with.
Yep.
So Facebook isn't about, bam, I made a sale. It's about making them familiar with you so that they trust you, so that they think of you. They do studies on, I opened the phone book or I typed in Google and these number of things showed up. You don't call the first one if you've never heard of them. It doesn't mean you trust them. If your friend used them, which you would know because it was on Facebook, or if you've been engaged in all these conversations about workout nutrition, so you know about their energy bars. So it's a conversation. It's about creating trust. And you can do that with your videos, because you can do that where your videos are not all energy bar. They're not commercials. They're discussions where there's something that's informational that they probably will want to watch again later to remember. Or that's why there's so many recipe ones. If you can make a apple crumble out of your energy bar, why not?
Sure.
Then share it to your Facebook page, and then you're going to remember that name later. So, so that's a different. Social media is different than the other ways that business owners might be thinking of using videos.
That is very true. And Facebook and Twitter, Instagram all have video capabilities that allow you to click on something.
And I'll say that Facebook's algorithm, you can share a video to Facebook from YouTube, and we do that the most because our longer things are easier that way. If you have little short 2 or 3 minute things, and that should be any longer than that, but if you have little short 2 or 3 minute things, Facebook's algorithm likes it better if you put it on Facebook. They don't really care that much about YouTube. They're a competitor. So if you have little things, put them right on your Facebook.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. Yeah. We're sort of getting ready to stop the program, but you have many different ideas, and one of the things that a business should always be looking for is not just one idea, but maybe if they sat down with individuals like yourself, maybe if they talk with individuals that use Facebook quite a bit and other kinds of things, they would get very good ideas. There's always a concern that to change a marketing direction sometimes requires a lot of time and energy. And sometimes it's far easier to do it because we've always done it.
And I would say pick one. Sometimes people get ambitious and they heard, oh my gosh, we have to be on social media, and they run out and make a Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter page. And they're not familiar with any of those platforms. And each of those platforms actually has to be used a little different. It's you can maximize the kind of post that works the best on Instagram is not the kind of post that works the best on Facebook or Twitter. So I would look at and ask the people that are working with your business where they are. Because as much as people are predicting the doom and gloom of Facebook, parents and retired people and the people that are spending money or deciding where their kids to go to camp and all those kinds of things, they're still on Facebook. So and Facebook is very user friendly for new people to start setting up. So I'd recommend just pick one.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very good advice. Dana, I'd like to have you back on to do some further special presentations, etc. We're talking with Dana Gagnon. She is the Government Program Coordinator with the Waycross Community Media Services in Forest, Cincinnati area. Is it Forest Park? Or Forest Hill?
It is Forest Park, and we are in the Cincinnati area.
Okay, and she has brought to us a lot of useful information. I hope that the viewing and listening audience continue to look at ways in which they can better market themselves using different kinds of social media. I'm Patrick Dengel. Thank you for listening.